Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my podcast. This is episode 2, okay? And today I'm going to be talking about intuition. So, your intuition is a gentle alarm system in your body. It alerts you to the energies around you. It alerts you to the energies within you, and it lets you know whether something is safe or whether it's unsafe, okay? And that goes for people, places, and situations. Like your intuition is your gentle alarm system there to protect you. Now, a lot of people will see posts that say trust your intuition and think that trusting your intuition is just something that's so easy to do, and it's not. Like, I've learned to listen to my intuition over the years. It's a practice and it's a skill. Like people will see posts that say trust your intuition and think that that's something that can happen overnight. We live in a society, we live in a culture that conditions us to not trust our intuition, to go against those instincts that we feel, especially those gut instincts. And we know what we feel, but we're surrounded by people that tell us that's not real. And the whole time, you're right, because your intuition always comes early to let you know. And then like days later or a month later, you're like, I knew I felt something. I knew I was right. I knew something was off. So listen to yourself. Listening to yourself is a practice. It's not something that can happen overnight, especially if you grow up in a family that teaches you to not listen to your gut instincts because it's too sensitive. Like a lot of times growing up in your childhood, like you were labeled as too sensitive. I know I was, and I know some of you that may be listening to this have been as well labeled as too sensitive because your intuition was on point. You knew when something was off in the family. You knew when something was off with one of your parents or a family member in particular. Like everybody has those feelings, even children. Like I feel like children especially have a deeper intuition because they're closer to God. And I know a lot of people would get mad at hearing that, but it's just because they're pure. Like they haven't been tainted by the ways of the world. They haven't been tainted by the things that we adults have to go through. So they're in a more pure space and more connected to the divine. That's why I say that. I'm not saying that as adults you can't be tuned in as well. I'm just saying that children are a lot more tuned in because they haven't really had to suffer that much trauma yet. So that's why they can be more tapped in. But yeah, your intuition is something that will grow over time because sometimes your intuition is so faint, and it's so faint because you're not used to using it. You're used to relying on other people's advice, other people's insight, other people's validation and approval instead of relying on your intuition, because that's the key. Your intuition is the key to your happiness. Your intuition is the key to your protection. Your intuition is the key to your success because it's there to let you know when something is right or when something is wrong. And when we get those gut feelings that something is wrong, we try to pacify it, or we try to, oh, that's not what I'm feeling. Because let me tell y'all something. There's been times where I know I felt the weird vibe. I know I did, but I continued to stay around that person. And then I ended up getting my feelings hurt. But my intuition was trying to alert me. My intuition was trying to tell me, but I didn't listen. Like I remember I was doing a reading on a client and I thought that this person was my friend. Okay. I really believed that this person was my friend, but I was always getting signs about this person that they weren't my friend. I always got signs. Like I remember crying to this person on the phone and they were silent as if they weren't enjoying the pleasure, and they couldn't even be there for me. You know what I'm saying? But I could always be there for this person and help them and read them. But I never got that back. And that person was supposed to be my friend. And I just kept getting weird vibes. And I remember during the reading, I had a weird vibe. Like when I was reading that person's energy, I'm like, I'm starting to feel something. I don't feel comfortable, but I didn't voice that to the person I was reading. I just peeped it, but I didn't listen to myself. And over time, that person stole ideas from me. That person like basically tried to copy things I was doing, but my intuition was giving me signs ahead of time and I didn't listen. So sometimes when you don't listen to your intuition, a situation can play out longer than it should have. Had I listened to my intuition the first time and cut this person off, I probably wouldn't have been so heartbroken and it wouldn't have lasted that long. When you listen to your intuition, you can save yourself some pain. I'm not saying that you won't feel the pain of having to see the truth about the person by listening to your intuition, but what I'm saying is you save yourself like time. because you could be somebody's friend for 2 years and you feel a weird vibe, but stay their friend. You wasted 2 years knowing that you felt something was off. You wasted time. Like, life is too short. Life is too short to have people around you that give you weird energy and weird vibes, because we don't know when we're going to die. Tomorrow is not promised. So why would you want to surround yourself with people that you feel a weird vibe from? We know we feel a weird vibe. You feel a weird vibe. Okay. Don't even try to lie. A lot of times we try to suppress our intuition because we think, oh, if I feel that I'm being mean or being rude, like, let go of that too. Because I used to be somebody that struggled with that, because I thought that I was being mean or rude by honoring what my intuition was telling me about that person, because I've been the type of person that will tell people like, hey, I sense something is off, and they'll gaslight me. And then I'll find out that something was off. That person was secretly jealous, or that person was doing some shit behind my back, or that person was gossiping behind my back, or that person was intimidated by what I was doing. But like, it's always, on point. Okay. Your intuition is always on point, because it makes sense after. I know, like, when it's happening, it doesn't make sense, but the aftermath is the proof. Okay. And sometimes when you're listening to your intuition, you won't always get the proof. You just have the intuition. Learning to work with your intuition is it's very difficult, because you want to believe people, you want to trust people, you want to see the good in people, but you have to see people for who they are, not for their potential, not because y'all have something in common. See people for who they are, not what you want them to be, or what they say they are, or what they want to become. Who are they right now? Who are they right now? Who is that person right now, and how do they make you feel? Because that says everything. A lot of times we don't even see people for who they are, because we wishing and hoping that there's someone else to fit the fantasy in our minds so that we can feel safe. Because it would hurt to really have to see people for who they are. And I used to be that type of person that coped with that by putting people on pedestals, wearing rose-colored glasses, because a lot of times we think that we can prevent pain, but by betraying your intuition, you're causing more pain. You think that, oh, by suppressing it, by not acknowledging it, I'm lowering the pain, but you're adding more pain to yourself, because you're keeping people around you that don't need to be around you. Sometimes our intuition can be clouded by love. Like, I noticed that a lot of times, like, when I had a soft spot for somebody, but my intuition kept telling me something was off, it was like I didn't want to listen, because I'm like, no, this person can't be that way. But I'm like, why can't they? Because that's who they are. They can't be that way because I have them assigned to a certain characteristic or a certain role in my head, and they don't fit that role, because guess what? They never did. I put them there to make myself comfortable about the weird feelings I was feeling. And a lot of us do that. And I'm just brave enough to admit it. Okay. I'm a Sagittarius out here. I'm a December Sag. Okay. We speak facts, but I'm brave enough to admit that that's what I was doing. And that's why I didn't trust my intuition at times, because, my love was in the way of that. And trusting your intuition doesn't mean that you don't love and you push love out the way. That's not what it means. It just means that you're listening to your inner compass, to your inner guide. You're listening to yourself. And sometimes listening to your intuition can feel like you're betraying other people, because you know what you feel. And sometimes you're going to have to agree to disagree. Sometimes you'll feel something and you'll have a person or you'll have a group of people telling you, no, that's not it. And let me tell you, it can be hurtful to have people against you. But when you know something is true in your core, when you know that, always trust that. Always stand 10 toes down for your intuition and the things that you feel. Because a lot of people are just not as tapped in as you think. They don't have discernment because they're going on with what the crowd is doing. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses. They trying to act like they have this life on social media that they don't really have, that they're not even listening to their gut about the people around them. Personally, like, the people around you really have an impact on you, okay? Because sometimes the people around you can put you in life or death situations. Like, when I look at a lot of like celebrities that have passed on, look at the people who was around them. They had snakes around them. They had jealous people around them. They had fake people around them, but they didn't see that because they living a good life. They having fun. They not thinking that, okay, these people are preying on my downfall. They're not thinking that because of where they are in life. They just accomplished a dream. They just accomplished a goal. When you do that, you don't expect people to be hating on you, but that's the real. When you do accomplish certain goals and you do get certain achievements, there are going to be snakes around you, people around you just for the benefit of what you worked hard for. That's why you got to listen to your gut and be able to cut people off. I know it hurts. I know it do. But listen to yourself. Practice listening to yourself. And I know that it won't happen overnight, but just be patient with yourself because it's a process. Look at the society that we live in. They don't want you to trust your intuition. They don't want you to be a free thinker. So give yourself some grace, give yourself some compassion, and don't judge yourself because you didn't listen to yourself. A lot of people don't. We're not taught how to listen to ourselves. We're taught how to listen to other people. So that's a skill that you have to teach yourself, listening to yourself, and you get better over time. And then the times where you do listen to your intuition and you listen and you get yourself out of a tough situation, give yourself a pat on the back. Like, really reward yourself for listening to your intuition so you can rewire your brain. So every time you listen, you reward yourself or you tell yourself something positive and you start to build a positive association with your intuition. And then that's how you can start listening to it more instead of fearing it. And a lot of us fear our intuition because we don't want to face the truth about the people around us. We don't want to face the truth, but you have to someday. You're going to have to accept it, okay? You're going to have to accept how people really are and not see them with that fantasy version of them you have in your head. Who are they really? Who are they right now? Who are they today? Not who they can be in 5 years. Who are they today? All right? You have to listen to your intuition. It's sacred. You know, it's there to keep you in tune with the divine because that's how the divine is speaking to you, letting you know certain things, you know? So trust yourself. You know, like it's not easy trusting yourself, but building that trust is what matters because think about when you're in a relationship with somebody, you're building trust. Does the trust happen overnight? No. Does the trust happen in 3 days? No. Sometimes that trust can take about like 6 months to build because you're trying to get to know that person. And the same thing can apply to yourself. Like have a relationship with yourself, you know, build that trust with yourself because when you start building that trust and you start listening to your intuition, you develop a closer relationship with yourself because then you say, I know I can trust myself. So I know my intuition is telling me the truth. And then you just keep building that skill. And then over time, you will reach a point where you just know people are on some bullshit because your intuition is on point and you don't question it anymore. Okay. That's the point you can reach. But until you reach that point, just keep being kind to yourself. Keep being loving to yourself and understand that it's a process. Patience is a virtue. I know we hear that so much, but patience is a virtue. We want instant gratification. We want everything to be instant, but it doesn't need to be instant, okay? We're not oatmeal. If you get that, you get that. I know it's a little corny joke, but still, all right? All right. Thank y'all for listening. Peace.